There are knocks in life that change everything. And there are knocks that should never have happened at all. Mine came at 2:17 p.m. I remember the time because I had just tasted the new lemon glaze our pastry chef insisted would make guests cry with happiness. Ironically, the tears came sooner than anyone expected. My phone vibrated against the stainless steel counter in the executive kitchen. Grace? Lily from the front desk sounded uneasy. There are 3 people here asking for you. Send them to reservations, I replied automatically. A pause. They say they're family. The spoon slipped from my hand and hit the floor with a sharp metallic crack. Family. 7 years. 7 silent, blessed years. Who? I asked, though my body already knew the answer. Your parents, Lily whispered, and someone named Dylan. The room seemed to tilt. For a second I saw not the gleaming kitchen of my San Diego luxury hotel, but a tiny apartment from years ago, the kind where the heat barely worked and collection agencies called before breakfast. I forced air into my lungs. Send them to the private lounge, I said. My voice sounded calm. It wasn't, because when the past walks into your life uninvited, it never comes empty-handed. It comes with demands. The private lounge overlooked the Pacific. Sunlight poured through the glass walls, turning the ocean into a sheet of silver. They were already there when I entered. My father stood by the window, hands behind his back like an inspector reviewing property he might purchase. My mother sat rigidly on the couch. And Dylan, my younger brother, leaned in an armchair, scrolling his phone. No one stood up. No one smiled. 7 years, and not even a hello. Dylan finally glanced up and smirked. Well, he said, looking around slowly, guess running away worked out for you. The words hit harder than I expected. Running away, that's what they called survival. I folded my arms. What do you want? My father didn't waste a second. He opened a leather folder and slid a document across the table toward me. We need your help. I didn't touch it. With what? Dylan had a property deal collapse. My father said evenly, $270,000. Dylan shrugged like the number meant nothing. So, my father continued, tapping the paper, you'll transfer 20% of your hotel to him. The room went quiet. Even the ocean seemed to stop breathing. 20%? I repeated. Dylan leaned forward, flashing the same careless grin he'd worn his entire life. Come on, Grace, he said. Family helps family. For a moment I just stared at him. And suddenly a memory surfaced. One I had buried so deep I thought it was gone forever. A bank letter. A loan. My name on a debt I never agreed to. $43,000. My heart began to pound. Because the people sitting in front of me were the same people who had once destroyed my life with a signature. And now they were back, hungry again. I slowly pushed the document back across the table. You came all this way, I said quietly. But before we talk about money, I met my father's eyes. Maybe we should talk about the last debt you put in my name. The temperature in the room dropped instantly, and for the first time since they arrived, my father looked uneasy. The room went still after my words. Even the ocean outside the glass walls seemed to hold its breath. My father's fingers stopped tapping the folder. Dylan slowly lowered his phone. My mother looked down at her hands, as if the carpet had suddenly become fascinating. Grace, my father said finally, his tone sharp with warning. This isn't the time for old stories. Old stories? I felt something hot rise in my chest. No, I asked quietly, because the last time money was involved with this family, it nearly destroyed my life. Dylan scoffed. You're exaggerating. I laughed softly. That sound surprised even me. Exaggerating? I repeated. Do you want exaggerations, Dylan? The memory hit me so clearly I could smell the cheap coffee from that morning 7 years ago. I was 21, I said, working 2 jobs and sharing a studio apartment with a broken heater. I looked directly at my father, and then the bank called. My mother shifted. My father said nothing. They said I owed $43,000, I continued, a loan I had never applied for. Dylan rolled his eyes. You paid it off, didn't you? The words landed like a slap. Yes, I said slowly, I paid it off. 3 jobs, 6 years, endless rejection letters when I tried to rent apartments or apply for business credit. I remember calling you, I said to my father. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. His jaw tightened. And do you remember what you said? Silence. So I answered for him. Family sacrifices for each other. A tear slipped down my cheek before I could stop it. Not from weakness, from memory. I sacrificed, I whispered. You committed fraud. My father suddenly stood. That loan kept this family afloat, he snapped. The truth hung in the air like a cracked mirror. They never denied it. They just justified it. I wiped my cheek and slowly pushed Dylan's contract back toward them. Funny thing about debts, I said softly. They always come due. Dylan frowned. What does that mean? I met his eyes. It means, I said calmly, if you want my help now, we're going to do things my way. But what Grace's family didn't know yet was that her way had already been set in motion. My words hung in the air like a verdict. For a long moment no one spoke. My father stared at me with that familiar mixture of irritation and calculation, the look he used whenever he was deciding whether it was cheaper to argue with me or to use me. Dylan shifted in his chair, impatient, drumming his fingers on the table. Finally, my father exhaled through his nose. Fine, he said curtly. You want to do this your way? Then bring your lawyer. But don't waste our time, Grace. In a few days, Dylan has to pay back his debt. I nodded slowly as if I had just been granted something important. In truth, that was exactly what had happened. Because the moment he agreed to involve lawyers, the game moved onto the board where I had already prepared every piece. Okay, let's meet here tomorrow afternoon and sign the documents you need, I said to my beloved close relatives. I stepped out of the lounge and pulled out my phone before the door even finished closing behind me. Ben answered on the second ring. Ben, hello. I need your help. My family is here. And I explained the whole situation to him in detail. There was a pause on the line, then the calm voice I trusted more than anyone else's. Good, he replied. Are they pushing for equity? I looked through the glass wall back into the lounge where Dylan was already bragging to my mother about owning part of a luxury hotel. My chest tightened, but my voice stayed steady. Yes, I said. Exactly as expected. Ben's answer came without hesitation. Then it's time. The next day at 2 p.m., Ben arrived at my office. He walked into the lounge with the quiet confidence of a man who understood two things very well, the law and me. Sorry to keep everyone waiting, he said politely, placing a thick folder on the table. 16 pages. My father's eyes narrowed immediately. That seems excessive. Ben gave a professional smile. Large financial transfers require protection for all parties. Dylan shrugged. Let's just get it over with. But Ben didn't open the folder yet. Instead, he placed his phone face down on the table. Before we proceed, he said calmly, Grace mentioned a previous financial matter involving a loan taken in her name when she was 21. My father stiffened. That's ancient history. Perhaps, Ben replied, but the auditors require clarity. I leaned forward slightly. Just explain it, Dad. For a moment, the room held its breath. Then my father exhaled impatiently. Yes, he said. I signed the loan. My mother's head snapped up. Dylan frowned. Ben nodded slowly. And Grace authorized that? No, my father said. But it helped the family. The words landed like a hammer. Ben quietly tapped the phone screen. Recording saved. My father didn't notice, but I did. And for a brief second, a memory flashed. 21-year-old me crying in a bank parking lot, clutching a rejection letter. My chest tightened. But this time, I didn't cry. Ben finally opened the folder. 16 dense pages slid across the table. Standard agreement, he said. Dylan flipped through 2 pages, already bored. Yeah, he muttered. Where do I sign? My father scanned the document for barely 30 seconds. Then he grabbed the pen. One signature, then another. 16 pages, 16 signatures, 16 steps deeper into something they didn't understand. I watched the ink dry. And for the first time in years, I felt the balance shifting. The moment the final signature touched the paper, the trap quietly closed. The last page slid across the table. Dylan signed it with a lazy flourish and tossed the pen down. There, he said with a satisfied grin. When do I start seeing profits? My father leaned back, folding his arms as if the outcome had never been in doubt. I slowly gathered the 16 pages. The sound of paper brushing together seemed unusually loud. For a moment, I just looked at the signatures, their names, their handwriting, their certainty. Then I raised my eyes and smiled. A small smile. The kind people don't notice until it's too late. "Dylan," I said softly, "you won't be receiving profits." He frowned. "What?" Ben calmly adjusted the papers. "What you've signed," he explained, "is not an equity transfer." My father's chair scraped against the floor. "What are you talking about?" Ben tapped the contract. "This is a secured business loan agreement." Silence detonated in the room. Dylan blinked. "A loan?" "Yes," Ben replied evenly, $270,000. My brother grabbed the document, flipping pages frantically. "You said stake," he shouted. "I said I'd help," I corrected quietly. Then I pointed to a paragraph halfway down page 8. Collateral clause. Dylan's face drained of color. "My house?" Ben nodded once. "Listed as security." My father slammed his hand on the table. "This is a trick." "No," Ben said calmly. Every page was signed willingly. I leaned forward, my voice steady though my chest trembled. "Oh, and one more thing." I slid another document across the table. "I purchased Dylan's original debt this morning." Dylan froze. "What debt?" "The investors from your failed deal," I said. "They were happy to sell." I met his eyes. "So now I'm your creditor?" My father exploded. "You ungrateful girl." I quietly pressed play on Ben's phone. The recording filled the room. I signed the loan in her name. My father's voice, clear, undeniable. The room collapsed into silence, and for the first time in my life, they had nowhere to run. 3 weeks later, the first payment arrived. $4,200. I remember staring at the number on the bank notification longer than necessary. Not because of the money, because of what it meant. For the first time in my life, my brother was paying me back. Not the other way around. I was in my office overlooking the Pacific when Ben knocked and stepped inside. "Your debtor is punctual," he said lightly, holding up the confirmation email. I exhaled slowly. Fear is a great motivator. Ben leaned against the desk. "Any contact from the family?" Right on cue, my phone vibrated. "Mom." A text message. "You've destroyed this family, Grace." I stared at the screen for a long moment. Destroyed. That word used to break me. Now it just settled. "They say I destroyed the family," I said quietly. Ben raised an eyebrow. "Did you?" I thought about the 21-year-old girl crying in a parking lot with a loan she never signed. "No," I answered. "I just stopped paying for it." I tapped block contact. First my mother, then my father, then Dylan. 3 names. 3 taps. 7 years of emotional debt. Gone in 10 seconds. That evening I stood on the rooftop terrace of the hotel as the sun dipped into the Pacific. Guests laughed below. Glasses clinked. Life moved forward. Ben handed me a glass of wine. "So," he said, "what now?" I looked at the glowing hotel lights, my hotel. "Now," I said slowly, "I build something no one can take. Because the truth about debts is simple. Some are paid with money, but the hardest ones are paid with courage."
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.